I bought this woolen skirt at a thrift store that I visit regularly when I stay at my parents' house, where I still have family. It's a huge warehouse, and you pay by weight there. I guess it's 16 euro per 3 kilograms. So that's not super cheap, but also it's not very expensive. And I really like to go there and thrift. So when I spotted this skirt, the design immediately appealed to me, and I had to change not much, but still it was more effort than I had expected, and I was pulling out the waistband, and also I had to make it a lot shorter than it originally was. Here I'm catching up on the lining as well and shorten it to the length of the outer shell. And I already have sewn in the darts. And I'm not gonna do that to the lining because I was lazy. I will just fold in the ease and make it fit into the waistband later on. Yeah, the skirt still has a impressive length, and I had very long rows to sew, as you see here. And before I did that, I was trying it on and looking if the fit and the length was alright, and I decided they were. So this is the one side seam I am ready with, and the other side I will have to put in the zipper, which is always painful because I'm not very skilled in doing that. So actually, whenever I sew something new, I try to avoid zippers, and also I try to avoid buttons and buttonholes. So it's always a challenge to circumvent those special tasks because I'm not very good at them. But I know actually I have to practice, otherwise I never will be good at them. So, um, yeah, maybe one day I'm I will have perfected the skill to sew in zippers. This time, actually, it looks quite nice because I do not have a special zipper foot. I just use the regular one. And it somehow turned out well on this one. But I can tell you, I have disastrous results in my former projects. Yeah, sometimes I'm thinking about fashion, and I find it really strange why fashion is such an important part of our lives in civilized worlds, isn't it? If you think about it. And there is a German expression which says Kleider machen Leute. Translated, it is clothes maketh people, and that seems to be true, and still it seems to be true that fashion is a part of culture, and what you wear tells something about you, doesn't it? And there are two sides, excuse me, to this. For some reason, I like it to make a statement with what I wear, and for another reason, I don't, and I truly abhor it sometimes. But like with everything in life, the issues have always more than one perspective to them. All right, not wanting to become too philosophical here. um, Here you see me preparing. No, excuse me. You see me sewing on the waistband, and I know some people don't like it to see the needles still in the fabric and sewing over them. But I sometimes dare to do it. Most of the times I pull the needles out, but this time I didn't want to. And here I help the fabric gliding through the foot because it was a very thick spot there. So now I'm done with sewing on the lining. And now I'm preparing the waistband, which is from a different material. It's just cotton with a little bit of stretch in it. And I did not want to use the original fabric because I wouldn't have left any fabric anyway. And I like the contrast more of the black against the pattern of the skirt. So that's why I've chosen this waistband, also for comfortable reasons, because it has stretch, and so I'm not depending on the rigid fabric of the wool. Oh, actually, it's not rigid, it's also a little bit flexible, but not as much as this stretch waistband. Speaking of fashion, when I was young, I always wanted to look older, and that's what we girls did back then. We styled ourselves in fashions which made us looking older. I don't know, that's quite a phenomenon, I guess. It's usual amongst young people that they like to look older. But I can't really say. It was for us the case that we didn't want to be asked how old we were when we entered the club scene, and we ordered a drink or something like that, and we were actually allowed to go there, but still were being asked how old we were. So we tried to look older, that's all, and I wanted to share with you some very old footage of photographies. I maybe will doing that over the course of my projects showing here online to, you know, rummage around in old stuff and be a bit nostalgic about them. Now I'm done with the waistband and sewing the corner of it, trying to see how it looks, or not trying, but looking how it came out. And here I prepared the waistband to make the inner seam, which I will do by hand. And I guess I will let you enjoy some music for this little hand sewing section here. now I'm done, almost. I just have to finish this seam where the zipper is. And then I think, or I thought, that I was done with the thing. But then I saw that the cutoff from the edge was still enough fabric to make pockets. And you may know my first video, it's a very short one, where I mentioned that I do not like skirts or pants without pockets. So I decided then to use this leftover fabric to make pockets. But you see, you will see the problem, because now that the lining is already sewn in and I have fastened it also where the zipper is, I had to decide, will I rip it out again, or do I somehow make it so that I do not stitch through the lining when I stitch on the pockets? And I managed to do so. But you see here how much effort this is going to be, because I have to pull the thing out and I cannot get it out totally, because it's sewn on where the zipper sits. So it's quite tedious, the whole job, but nevertheless, you know, I still do it. I would even have been more disappointed if I would have liked the overall design without the pockets outside, but inside. But lucky me, I really thought that the pockets on top of it were prettier than invisible ones, which, you know, usually are inside of the pants or inside of the skirt. So I like the design to be on top here in this particular piece, but the next problem then is how to match the diagonal stripes, because that was also something I liked to pay attention to, you know, not to go totally off the pattern here, so to match it somehow. And I succeeded in most of the part, but not overall. But I don't know. I don't think that people really pay so much attention if the stripes match perfectly and exactly. That's not what one usually does. You see the overall effect or the overall fashion of someone, but you usually don't look at the very detail, don't you? Except that someone points your nose at it. So yeah, this is going to be a lot of hand sewing. Here I give it just a quick press with a lot of steam to make them flat in order to have an easier job on sewing. And yeah, I also forgot, that's what you see me doing here, to make the outer seam where the places where I put my hand into, to make it ready for wearing. And I forgot, but then I already had sewn on the basting with a basting stitch, and I didn't want to undo that again. So I mentioned it in my last video that planning is often very, very sensible to do, and I fail and to make a plan. I'm a very spontaneous person, and that is something what can be really advantageous in your life when you are a spontaneous person, but sometimes it's to your disadvantage. So I have to make mistakes in order to avoid them next time. But yeah, let's see how much or how often I have to do them. I actually have more footage how I sew on the pockets, but I found it quite boring, so I spare you that part, and now you see me choosing what kind of a button um, I'm going to pick from my stash, and it's not much to explain other than that I will sew on a loop for the button and not making a buttonhole into the fabric as I mentioned before. I really don't like to do that. I will pick out some more music so you can enjoy the video until the end.